fuck happened, yo? And I thought Iroh and Zuko were going to be the highlight of the episode. And to a certain extent, they still are. But when I saw the fight, when Min Hua was going to take the blade to stab Kaya, and then she just breaks the tip off and sends the spike back at her, I was like, that is the most epic thing. And then she comes back like an octopus. He's not an expert bender, but still, he was using his old type of, fighting style to just, try to, and he pulled Gazan's hair, just try to immobilize the guy, try to do something, because he can't really airbend like a pro. Tenzin, mother. I think this is the first full-length airbender versus airbender fight that we've ever gotten, period. But the fact that this guy was still putting up a front against 4 dudes coming at him. I mean, when he was fighting Zaheer, he was giving him a run for his money. They were pretty much equal, but the gang had to come in to stop Tenzin. This thing was 4-on-1, and Tenzin was still capable of blocking some of the bending attacks that were going at him from all different angles. It's like, this is crazy shit. Now, I guess the question is, did he die? I think that's a reasonable question, even though it's kind of, I guess the obvious inclination is to think that he's not, that he's alive. However, there are some things that might, put doubt in our minds. Because the Earth Queen, who was confirmed to be dead in this episode, her death was off-screen. So I'm wondering, because the beating of Tenzin, that was off-screen as well. So I'm wondering, and by the way, when he said until as long as I'm still breathing, it's not over. Those are some final words type of deal. Those are something that you would say when you're ready to go out. Regardless, though, this episode was like a 9.5 out of 10 for me. The only thing I thought was kind of okay, this is kind of ridiculous, is the fact that Kaya, Kai, and Bumi, it looks like they're gonna die. They flat out fall. These huge ass cliffs and stuff. And Kai conveniently finds himself, hooked on a branch, and then Kaya and Bumi end up on a ledge. I'm like, come on. And don't get me wrong, I'm glad that they're not dead. But at the same time, if it's falling off a cliff is that safe, well then maybe Tenzin should have jumped off as well. The animation for Bossing Say going up in flames I thought was great. The funniest character of this episode to me is Bolin and Mako's grandmother. What is it about grandmothers that they're just naturally funny? Why haven't you dated any of these 2 nice ladies? Asami the Avatar looks sexy, and this other one is manlier than you. I believe Korra is still headed over to the temple, if nothing else, to act as some type of backup or to check on Tenzin. And plus, Bumi and Kaya are still there. And, unless, Kai finds them and gives them a ride on the Sky Bison, but it's too little. They can't ride that little Sky Bison. The episode was awesome, but the fact that they managed to include Iroh and Zuko, and consequently a reference to Aang, just puts it over the top for me. I mean, the fact that, because this is a real struggle for Korra. It's a real thing. She can't connect with her past lives. And I've noticed this throughout the series in that the wisdom that Iroh dishes out is just incredibly simple. To the point where he says, go talk to Zuko. And you're like, why didn't I think of that? But it's so true, and sometimes the obvious answer is the hardest to see. So I love the fact that he says, well, I may not be able to help you, and obviously you're not connected to Aang anymore, but go talk to my nephew. Because sometimes the best advice you can give a person is to say, I may not be able to help you, but there might be somebody who can. In a sense, it's like Iroh passing the baton to Zuko and being like, he can help you this time. And he does. He says, well, when it comes to Aang, he would be super proud of having the opportunity to rebuild, sort of like the air nomad nation or community or whatever you want to call it. But at the same time, I think his role as the Avatar would oblige him to take a stand. Aang would know that sometimes you just have to man up and be like, this is a threat. You don't bow down to threats. This is, you've been doing things the wrong way, and I'm not going to do this, and I'm not going to give myself into your whim, and turns out Tenzin agrees with the same mentality, because when they're being held captive, Tenzin says, I'm not going to let you have Korra. Because she is the protector of the world, there's nobody better to confront Zaheer than her. Zuko is going to be heading over to the Fire Nation to try to protect his daughter, who is the current Fire Lord. And I have to say, if you look at the story of Korra, Book 3, like the sense of danger in this book is, I think, not only more palpable, but a little bit more realistic. Book 1, for example, we have Amon, who, granted, he was a serious threat, okay? But what he did was take people's bending away. It's not like he was going around killing people, all right? Vaatu and Unalaq, I mean, they were big threats in the scale sense. I mean, this is the dark spirit that wants to take over the world. So at the same time, even though it's a big threat, you kind of get the fantasy tone of it. Because that's what, a lot of fantasy villains want to do. They want to take over like sci-fi villain, I want to take over the world or over the universe. But in this, like, Book 3 just makes it feel so much more real. Because Zaheer's agenda is not just about trying to bring down the established order, but it's also about, like, adapting and using any means necessary to do so, including violence. But, and this is the big difference, is that it doesn't abandon rationality. At least not yet. I haven't seen Zaheer act, in a completely irrational manner. Tell me your thoughts down in the comment section below. Like the review if you did, and subscribe to my channel to get more content related to Korra. The finale, I think, is next week. I'll catch you guys there.